I mean, could we bring up a more appropriate guest here to add to the frivolity than the professor, ladies and
Oh,
gentlemen?
I
The
thought you were
professor
going to say talk about divorce.
No, you were smart enough never to get involved in that sort of activity. No doubt
I
you
took
would.
the lessons of Rocky. I took the lessons of Rocky seriously, Defo. Women
Yeah.
weaken legs.
Yeah. Well, that may be true, but they also weaken bankrolls, especially if you have to make some kind of. The two words, though, that I think are very favorable in those circumstances are lump sum. You just don't want this shit to linger to the point where you finally have some cash, and now she gets a piece of that too, right? It's kind of like that deal that what were the name of the brothers from St. Louis, the ABA? Do you remember? That made that deal where they got a piece of the NBA television rights, which were
like
worthless at the time.
years.
That they made that deal. They were showing the championship on tape delay at like 11:30 at night on whatever oddball channel didn't carry network programming and had like Barnaby Jones, and then all of a sudden here would be like the NBA championship game. But yeah, I don't remember the name of the brothers, and they ended up getting a piece. They made zillions on this deal, best sports deal ever made. I mean, maybe better than even buying the Babe from your favorite team, the Red Sox. Which anyway, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's terrible that Babe Ruth didn't play out his career in Boston.
And Your Honor, I was thinking of you last night because I watched for the 100th time Good Will Hunting, which I hate to say it, Professor, because I don't want to cue you up, well, I mean,
You already have. Come on.
lob you a softball. I thought Affleck was pretty good in that movie.
Of course,
And
you
the
did.
fact that he and Matt Damon, I mean,
What a shock! Defo starts the show by sucking ass to the city of Boston. You're going to talk up the Republican Party on January the 6th now too. I mean, why don't
very
you just,
triumphant. I mean, it was like a day of tourism there at the Capitol building. No,
You know what? Actually, the greatest thing about what Good Will Hunting is that everybody in America is so fucking stupid, and particularly the people at the Academy, that they actually gave Ben Affleck an Oscar for that movie. They actually believe Ben Affleck wrote that goddamn movie. Like, is there any question?
It seems like it was largely plagiarized.
Ben
from somebody.
Affleck's role was sitting there playing PlayStation and buying weed for Matt Damon as he wrote them. Come on,
100%.
really? He's a co-writer. Give me a freaking break. How stupid he goes from that to Frageddon. Like, you really thought he co-wrote that movie? Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, Damon, I sort of see it, although I personally am of the opinion Kevin Smith clearly wrote the movie and he couldn't get it made because he was coming off a couple of bombs. So he gave these two idiots the script, and they ended up getting it made and won an Academy Award, which good for them. Matt Damon probably deserved an Academy Award. But if you're a member of the Academy and Ben Affleck has 2 Oscars, like, don't you have to hang your head in shame over that fact? Like, if you're a voter, I mean, I feel like Heisman voters feel better about Eric Crouch's Heisman than any Academy Award voter can possibly feel about the fact that people go over to Ben Affleck's fucking house and he's got 2 Oscars sitting up on the mantle. I mean, come on. It's an embarrassment, people.
Very appropriate that the golf season begins this week. I teed one up for you.
One for writing. You feel like this jerk off actually wrote that movie. Come on.
Didn't seem possible. No.
He didn't have anything to do with writing that movie.
Yeah. Mayo says you sound bitter, Professor, but no, I think you're just, in
honest.
True professor mode. Yeah.
Look, I mean, I honestly, and we'll get to this in the big board, but 2023 is coming around to be. It's a lot already. We're 1 week in, and we are literally celebrating the anniversary of January the 6th. I don't know exactly how you do that. Dress up in some fuzzy outfit and go invade somebody's office, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't really know how you're supposed to
Viking
mark
horns
this anniversary.
Yeah.
Go vote for a freaking retard stripper, because apparently that's the thing that Republicans do now. I don't know. I maybe commit a sex offense, because
How about Matt Gaetz is influential?
This is my thing. Matt Gaetz, who's being currently investigated for human trafficking, whose best friend wants to testify about him Venmoing some 16-year-old hooker to meet him over in the Bahamas somewhere, which, way to be, Nassau. You should be proud of that. You're now the place where congressmen go to sex traffic. He's being supported by Lauren Boebert, who a lot of people think is a hooker or a former hooker because he was on a model website that's notorious for escorting for
But we
apparently
thought
a
that of
couple of
Sister
years there.
Jean also.
And
Remember? Turned out to be false.
definitely, well, maybe or maybe not a former hooker, definitely married to a sex offender. She is married to a registered sex offender, a guy
Oh,
who took
nice.
his dick out in front of a couple of 15-year-olds at a bowling alley,
Fun.
which that's not just a sex offense.
That should be the new symbol for the Republican Party.
That's
No,
like the
never mind the
right.
elephant.
All in support of Jim Jordan,
Yeah.
a guy who sat on the side and watched wrestlers get molested by the team doctor, which is a story
Yeah.
I feel is way
Never talk
not
about it.
covered
Very much
enough
underplayed. Yeah.
Never.
because I don't know, Defo, did you hang out with wrestlers when you were in college at all? Did you know any wrestlers on the fair?
I knew wrestlers in high school.
Because
Because
High
I
school
got to
was big in
tell
wrestling.
you, even if they were like pocket sized, even if they
Yeah.
were guys like
Yeah.
Luby's size, like 140 pounds,
Yeah.
these were the last guys on earth you wanted to mess with because
Oh, yeah,
every
that's
single one of them
They were in shape.
lived to fight. It's not just
Yeah.
they
No,
like
were
to
psycho.
fight.
They were psycho.
They were the kind of the dudes that you'd like punch them in the face and they'd smile at you and be like, "Yeah, that woke me up this morning.
Yeah.
Thanks for that." Like these were the kind of guys that would bang their face against the wall to get geeked up. Like I never really, I played my year of football and we do the headbanging thing. I was never super into it myself, but like these were the guys nobody wanted to screw with. And like, what kind of psycho do you have to be to want to molest those people?
Yeah.
So, and Jim Jordan, he's the assistant coach who's at the center of it. A couple of the players have testified, or former wrestlers have testified that he knew about it and did nothing. So, like, that's who's running Congress now. We literally have a sex offenders coalition, the sex offenders caucus. Like, what's the mascot for that one? Is it Jim Jordan turking some college wrestler?
Happy
And
New
that's
Year.
You're rolling, Professor. Rolling.
I mean, again, 2023 is already a lot. It really is.
It's already a lot.
It's off to a good start, man. It's only 6 days in.
6 days in. And I didn't really think we would top the first 6 days of 2022, but we're making a case for it pretty early on, and that was before you had to start my morning by throwing out Ben Affleck reference.
Bouquets to Ben Affleck for his
And we got
performance.
Sarney in the mention, which, by the way, I love this story. We've had to deal, and I hear the Greek, jumping on Mike McDaniel's back like it's Mike McDaniel's fault that Chris Greer signed the all-injury team, and now they all got hurt. Yeah, what a stunning surprise! Like
every cripple, has hope he could be a Dolphin
I'm the
someday.
only person in town who's been paying attention to the Miami Dolphins for the last 30 years because I'm the only person who's not surprised by any of these results. Like, how else could a Dolphins season finish other than this? And so we've got media reports that the Dolphins are actually considering firing Mike McDaniel to bring on Jim Harbaugh, who, look, if you watch that bowl game, if Jim Harbaugh is leaving Michigan just because he doesn't want to be around that bum McCarthy for the next 2 years, I can't blame him because I would probably rather kill myself than coach that kid for another 2 years after that performance in the bowl game. Not that I'm bitter.
You did have a vested interest in Michigan.
Not that I'm bitter about Michigan, but that first kick six, you threw it like a girl. Chad Pennington watched that throw and was like, "God damn, that's a bitch arm on that kid."
Josh Heupel throws the ball harder.
Exactly.
And the second pick six, you're sitting. Yeah, I don't know if you watch it, but Josh Heupel went the other way. Josh Heupel, who did have a rag arm, went out and recruited the two biggest arm. I don't know if you watched the Orange Bowl, but that kid Milton.
I did see that.
I'm not. He's got like
he has a rocket. You said that.
Taking it 80 yards.
You called that before the Orange Bowl game. But that guy has a rifle for an arm.
I don't know if you saw I don't know if you saw this, but supposedly he was goofing around at one of the practices and he threw an actual orange, which were 100 yards, which if that's true, that's the most amazing feat I've ever heard of in any sport. Throwing an orange 100 yards is the most amazing.
Even if Anita Bryant is standing at the other goal line. Yeah,
it's right up there with Chestnut eating 70 hot dogs as, you don't necessarily think about it as one of the great feats of all time. But go ask another athlete to do that. Hey, Michael Jordan, if you're the greatest fucking athlete of all time, you show me. Go eat 70 hot dogs and then throw an orange 100 yards.
Mayo needed CPR at 5.
Seven.
Mayo.
Yes, 7.
He couldn't make 7. We had the number at 7. He made like 5 and a hook. All
Anyway,
right,
so Sparty brings
Professor.
it up.
Yeah.
On top of all that, Michigan now has 4 level 2 violations and a level 1 violation. And the level 1 violations because Harbaugh interfered with the NCAA investigation in the level 2
Yes.
violations. Which why? Because he wanted to practice during COVID and he didn't want to follow COVID restrictions. So let's bring it full circle. We got one hire, Jim Harbaugh, the kind of jerk off who probably would have been in January 6th. He probably wouldn't have worn the outfit. He probably would have worn his khaki Walmart pants and his nerd glasses. But definitely the kind of jerk off was like, I won't let COVID interfere with my football season.
Yeah.
And is now in NCAA trouble. That could be our next coach. Just
send them to Wuhan.
And I say to myself, what a wonderful world.
All right, Professor, let's get a look at the college championship game. What do you think there? I originally thought 13 and a hook, a boatload of points there with
down to 12
a Cinderella team. Yeah, and I see it here, 12 and a half. You say 12. Luby says 15. He's using Segredo's bookmaker.
I said 14.
That's because Luby wants to take TCU, so he's giving himself a few.
Well, I'd be tempted to take them also.
It's been a common trend among your handicappers over the year of this show. Just give myself a couple extra points on.
Well, yeah, of course. Like. It's like I say, my personal bookmaking venture with Francesco. There's always a few points that remain suspect. What do you think in this one? Would you take the points?
I mean, I think here's your thing. If you're going into this game, your real question is, do you think TCU can score a bunch of points? Because their defense can't stop anybody. You go back to that Michigan game, and, Michigan's offense really did not play particularly well in that game. They did not run the ball effectively outside of that first run, which went for like 70 yards. Harbaugh, I don't know, lost his mind in the red zone. I feel like his brother and his father probably slapped him after that game. Just because, let me get in the red zone and throw a bunch of times, even though it's not what we do. And, they weren't effective and they still hung 40 plus points in that game. Georgia was effective and has been effective all year long. I don't think there's any chance in hell TCU's defense is stopping anybody. So my inclination would be, if you like TCU in this spot, either just play the over or play a parlay of TCU in the over, because I don't see any chance in hell that TCU is holding Georgia under, say, 35, 40 in this spot. I don't see that defense. If they got 2 stops all night, I would really legitimately be shocked.
63 and a hook I have.
So here's my question. Do I think TCU is scoring a bunch of points against this Georgia defense? They've got some of the personnel to do it. The wide receiver probably should be the first wide receiver off the board in the draft. If you watch that game, he's not only the size of a Lincoln Town car, he's as fast as one at top speed, too. I mean, the kid's physically amazing. And Georgia's defensive backfield did not look strong against Ohio State. Duggan has done damage with his legs all year long, and Stroud actually seemed to surprise the Georgia defense by running a lot and did a lot of damage there. But I have a tough time seeing Kirby Smart going into this game and giving up a bunch of points in this situation. I think it's kind of probably like Alabama last year. Would I be surprised if TCU is effective moving the ball in the first half? No, I would not. But I would be surprised if they're effective in the red zone. I think Kirby Smart will come in here with a well-prepared team, with a good defensive game plan. And I think at the end of the day, Georgia's probably going to take care of business and blow TCU out. So while I'm definitely not inclined to lay close to 2 touchdowns in a bowl situation, a championship situation, gun to my head, give me the Bulldogs.
All right. The Professor, ladies and gentlemen. And that brings us to this. First of
we actually have a couple more things.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Mentioning tomorrow, college basketball. You got Auburn going to Arkansas.
Oh, nice.
Auburn has been kind of a favorited team among given their results among basketball bettors. So I don't necessarily going to give a huge amount of points here. Auburn is not playing well. If you saw that game against Georgia the other night, lost to a pretty decent Georgia team, but a Georgia team they should have beaten straight up. I think by 8. And Arkansas, I really like their team. So if you're under 6.5 points there, look to the Hogs. And I think Arkansas is a team to keep your eye on throughout this college basketball season. And then Sunday, again, for those who haven't been paying attention, I see the number at 1. I've also seen it as high as 2.5. take the New York Jets. If you haven't been paying attention for the last 30 years, there's no chance in hell that the universe allows the Miami Dolphins to win this football game. Either the Bills will go out and be emotionally flat and lay an egg against the Patriots, and the Patriots will make the playoffs, or the Dolphins will straight up lose, and the Pittsburgh Steelers will make the playoffs because the universe won't allow Mike Tomlin to ever have a losing season. If you haven't been paying attention, the most inevitable conclusion is that Joe Flacco turns back into a playoff run Joe Flacco and throws for like 350 yards, or Skylar Thompson throws 8 interceptions, or possibly the team bus explodes in the parking lot. I don't know exactly how it's going to work out, but I do know Jets by like 3 touchdowns is the inevitable conclusion of the Miami Dolphins season.
The image I get is of one of my all-time favorite players in any sport, and unfortunately, I mean, just a distraught and poor shell of himself. Joe Willie sitting on that Rams helmet after an horrendous outing. This season ending with Mike Glennon on the field throwing a pick six to eliminate. You could have never envisioned this at the beginning of the year, that this was going to be the way that it ended, with Mike Glennon leading your team into a disastrous, catastrophic loss that knocks you out of the playoffs.
Number one, again, to reiterate, if you couldn't see it ending this way, you don't know about Miami Dolphins football. There was no way on this that it possibly could have ended. And number two, I'm actually not going with Mike Glennon. I'm going with Skylar Thompson because Dolphins fans are so ridiculously excited about Skylar Thompson, and he's terrible. He's awful.
Yeah.
And I have no idea why Dolphins fans are so completely in love with him. But he cannot play at all. And again, because I guess at some point you get to embrace the pain. At some point, the pain starts to feel a little bit good.
Yes.
Too.
It is that way. Yeah, for sure. All right, let's do it. 2023, first one of the year. And it was a spectacular year of Professor Big Boards last year. Obviously, I mean, you seem primed and ready to start out with a bang this year. So what do you have for us, Professor?
We have, Defo. Again, it's 2023. We are all of 6 days in. And already, if anybody thought I was going to run out of big board material, I think Defo probably did. So he wanted to get me ranting about Ben Affleck from the start. And
I forgot about Harbaugh. I mean, that
we have discussed, as we have discussed, Defo a little soft on the Boston issues to begin with. You know, undercover, not really even undercover about his Patriots fanhood. He did not so much the Celtics and the Red Sox, but definitely has been soft on the Patriots over the years. And I think anybody who's seen the first week understands we're never going to run out of material because it's the first week of 2023 and it's already a lot. The big board of 2023. We already have more really material in 1 week because any one of these we probably could have done an entire big board on. But we've got way more material than we need. So, number 5. Terrible people being terrible to kick off 2023. Over on the left here, we have Rapey McForehead, who, of course, is from Florida.
Yeah.
And on the right, we've got Bobo the Clown. Again, a woman who spent 30 years filing paternity suits against the second best wrestler in the Midnight Express, who somehow the Republican Party not only has elected twice, but now wants to be one of the faces of the party. And people are legitimately excited about it. Sean Hannity goes after her on his show the other night, and people get mad at Sean Hannity about it. Like, Sean Hannity has been your talking head for 30 years, and now you're picking Bobo over him? I mean, she literally failed the GED 3 times before she finally passed the week before she got elected. And now it's all turned bad for the Republican Party. They can't nominate a speaker. Defo, I don't know, but it's almost shockingly like if you elect the dumbest, most unqualified, most vile human beings you could possibly find to represent you, that it can create some sort of backfire against you. I don't know how that could possibly work out. Who could have seen Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert been a problem? But apparently this whole let me go out and find the most vile person and hire them to be an important job isn't a lesson everybody's learned, because that takes us to 5A. Texas A&M football hires Bobby Petrino to be their offensive coordinator.
You see the staff? I love
What
it.
the hell is going on at Texas A&M? What the is? I don't know if Jimbo's trying to get fired or somebody else is trying to make it as painful as possible for Jimbo, so he'll quit and walk away from that release bonus that he gets. Because I can tell you, Jimbo ain't going anywhere. He's still got like 70 million or whatever
Yeah.
on his contract. Jimbo ain't going nowhere. It doesn't matter how bad. You could take Bobby Petrino. Bobby Petrino could now have the girls' volleyball team having sleepovers at his house.
Pool
Jimbo ain't
parties.
quitting,
Yeah.
folks. You can do as much awful shit as you want to. And it appears like Texas A&M is maybe going that route because, again, you're bringing in Bobby Petrino to be your offensive coordinator. I honestly, what's next? You're going to invite Matt Gates to be the speaker at your high school prom?
Well, you know who their DC is, right? You know their DC is Durkin, the guy who was a disaster in Maryland, who like a kid died under.
Again, that's a bad situation when your defensive coordinator killed a kid and he's still the better person of the two coordinators on your team.
Yeah, that says a lot about the character of the staff. Luby loved Jimbo at one time. Thought he was the greatest human being on the planet.
What was I going to do? I mean,
Luby, with his blind loyalty to FSU. Incredible.
Hey, but it's not blind loyalty. The whole time he loved Jimbo, he hated Leonard Hamilton. He'd come here every week and plot Leonard Hamilton's death.
Yeah. I was surprised he didn't tell him straight up to his
praising
face when we talked to him. Yeah, that he hated Leonard.
I wanted to so
Because he was that type of guy at the time, you know, where he'd blurt out anything. No discretion. All right, that's 5-8. This is the big board of things that are already happening in 2023.
And that takes us to number 4, which is
Yep.
never go out on New Year's Eve, Dana White. We tried to tell you this on the show last week.
Yeah.
Nothing good ever happens when you go out on New Year's Eve. And never really go out drinking and then go home to the wife in general. Just ask now former Texas coach Chris Beard here on the left. Who do you two people think you are? You think you're Floyd Mayweather? You think you're going to get away with this?
Unbelievable.
Like it's
Floyd Mayweather.
And look, I am not in support of guys who commit domestic violence. No, it's a horrible crime. But here's my question. On top of it just making you a jackass, if you really hate your wife that much, and you probably should in some cases, as we were talking about with the divorce in the Greek, why are you going to let your wife absolutely destroy your life by punching her? Like Chris Beard, you had life by the tail on a downhill pull, and you totally screwed it up to punch the wife in the mouth one time. Like, so whatever victory you thought she was trying to take from you, she has now, in fact, taken from you because you have destroyed your life. You make like $7 million a year total all in with your endorsements. You are the most popular coach on the University of Texas campus. Everybody in state loves you. You're a hometown hero. Came back for your school. You were starting to have some momentum. I think Texas was ranked number 1 for a couple of weeks at the start of the college basketball season. And now your career is over. What bigger victory can you give a wife who you clearly hate than to destroy your life just to get one smack in on her? I don't get it. I'm not understanding it.
Exactly.
Like, again, go bang hookers. Like Chris Beard, you make $7 million a year. You can afford the best hotels and prostitutes the city of Austin has to offer. And instead, you have killed your life off over one drunken night. And Dana White probably is not going to end up in too much trouble with this because, let's be honest, if you're an MMA fan, you're probably a domestic violence enthusiast yourself. I don't think they're losing a lot of audience here.
The track record not good there with their many participants.
Yeah. Not just their participants, the people who watch it. Like anytime I've ever seen somebody buy pay-per-view MMA fights, the white trash percentage is pretty much through the roof on that buy rate anyway.
There's a chance the police will show up if you have a large gathering at one home to watch the fights.
Let's be honest, the crossover between MMA pay-per-view purchasers and purchasers of Four Loko, it's pretty freaking high.
Yeah.
Like,
Dana White did a good job of publicly deflecting this, though, by immediately putting out a statement that they're now, focusing on their family.
I'm just gonna say, if you're buying pay-per-view of MMA, and you're not really upset with Dana White, because I've heard this a few times. Well, she slapped him first. That gives him the right to defend himself.
Yeah.
Particularly if you have gone with the, well, he has the right to defend himself argument. Excuse me. The chances that you also regularly eat at Arby's, probably demographically speaking, like 80%.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of crossover there.
And the way these guys box in, the UFC, you would think that, there was no chance he would land a punch there.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, so the fact that he landed, is, somewhat exceptional. All right, that's number 4. Is John Calipari, by the way, I was reading this online that he somehow would want to leave Kentucky where, things haven't been all that favorable of late and, end up going to Texas. Is that possible, Professor? Just real quick.
I mean, Austin's a pretty cool town, if I'm being honest about it. So if I had spent my last decade in Kentucky, I'd probably want Austin too. But no, Kentucky.
Nothing.
He's got more money to spend on basketball than Texas.
Yeah. All right, very good. All right, that's number 4. This is the big board. Things already happening in 2023.
That takes us number 3. And again, once in this of January the 6th, one of the athletes who the January the 6th people have really embraced because of his anti-vaccine and pro-Hitler position over the last year is Kyrie Irving. And we all know Kyrie Irving hasn't had a necessarily great year, and he hasn't been great for the New York. The New York Nets.
Brooklyn Nets.
I'll never get
Brooklyn.
used to the Brooklyn Nets. I'll never get used to that one. All right. But we also have another impact that we didn't realize about Kyrie Irving, and that is, look what came out this week, people. Okay, why is this not working?
Yeah.
There
you
go. There it is.
There
Here's the side effect. This is Kevin Durant's hairline. This is what Kyrie Irving does to you.
Nice.
This is what you look like when you're like 32 years old and you spend a lot of time around Kyrie Irving, and you have to deal with all the stress of Kyrie Irving's bullshit 24 hours a day. When you're the guy, everybody comes to interview about Kyrie Irving and his opinion on Jewish people or his opinion on the vaccine. This is what you end up when you're a 32-year-old billionaire.
Yeah.
Like, your life is so good. Like, if you're Kevin Durant, why the hell would you ever worry about anything except you have to be around Kyrie Irving all the time? And this is how you end up looking. So my advice to Kevin Durant is learn from a man who also got put in that position and give LeBron James a call about his hair plug guy. Because LeBron went through this with Kyrie years ago, got away, moved out to LA, got himself some hair plugs. Now he's, not only starring in movies, but he's making movies himself. He seems pretty happy, honestly. LeBron, for a guy whose team sucks, seems like he's got it kind of figured out. They're making the House Party remake. It's at LeBron's house, and LeBron's starring in it. Everybody loves LeBron when he shows up in the movies. If I'm Kevin Durant, time to get out. Time to go somewhere else. Get the hair plugs and restart your life, because Kyrie Irving has clearly ruined it. Kyrie Irving may actually be more stressful for NBA players than the Kardashian sisters, and I didn't think that was going to be possible.
You're face down in the pool at the Bunny Ranch there with a pipeline of heroin going into your arm there, Lamar.
James Harden sucked for a year because he dated a Kardashian, but his beard never fell out over the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, again, look at the
Who was the other big white stiff that married
Chris
into the
Humphries.
Kardashians?
Chris Humphries.
Chris Humphries is now playing in Turkey.
Lamar Odom. Yeah, there's a long list of guys who've been ruined by the Kardashians from NBA.
And I'm saying Kyrie Irving, pretty clearly a close second.
Yeah.
Holy Cy Sperling, man. I mean, look at that cat. That's not good at 32, man. Is he also, did he convert to Judaism, or did he have Jewish blood? That is a Jewish male pattern baldness thing if I've ever seen one.
That's right.
Unbelievable. Or that yarmulke keeps getting more red and larger every time you get a picture of an overhead cam. In defense of Irving and Durant, they're playing great right now together. Absolutely playing very well at this point. Brooklyn on a 12-game winning streak. All right, that's number 3.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll work out.
That's what I said.
So far, I don't know what's going to derail it. I guess it'll be, Kyrie.
Looking at Kevin Durant's head, what's going to derail it? Cancer, apparently. It looks like Kevin Durant's been in chemotherapy for 6 months.
Yeah. Either that, or he was being outfitted for, a visit to Old Sparky. All right. When did he put the conductor on? That's always, a turning point in one's life. All right. That's number 3.
Number
Professor's Big
two,
Board. Yeah.
a personal bugaboo, and this one's bad because I didn't think it would ever get worse than Pierre, the New Orleans Pelican. But number 2, debuted, of course, on January the 1st. The Washington Commanders introduced no nightmare fuel with Major Tuddy, their new pig-themed mascot, who I don't know if you read Animal Farm, Defoe, the
Yeah.
classic Orwell novel. This thing is definitely going to try to take over America and convert everybody to communism and kill most of the proletariat in the. Tell
Seems
me
a
this
likely
is not.
course.
Tell me this is not Napoleon from Snowball, or Napoleon
Yeah.
and Snowball from Animal Farm come to life.
Looks
First of
like
all,
a program director I knew at one time.
First of all, the word Tuddy for touchdown, and for those who don't know, this thing is named Mr. Tuddy, has
Yeah.
become one of those words that, look, there's a certain radio host, a certain sidekick who's gotten unnaturally famous locally and nationally down here, who I think introduced that word, and number 2, you might as well wear a Cristiano Ronaldo jersey if you're going to say that word, because you are just giving off the international sign for I'm a douchebag. You might as well, I don't know, smoke clove cigarettes and use Axe body spray if you use the word Tuddy for touchdowns. It's the
Yeah.
stupidest, most douchebag word I think sports has produced in decades.
Pretty dumb.
And of course, the Commanders, a Dan Snyder thing, introduced Major Tuddy, the Bolshevik pig, who is here to dominate the NFC East and crush America. All that's missing on this thing is it's taking off its shoe and banging against the table and screaming, "We will crush you! We will crush you!" I don't know who the hell designed this thing, but they should send them to Guantanamo Bay. Like, you belong in a communist country. You belong in Cuba. And number 2, we need to get you the hell out of America and into a prison. Like, I don't know. Have they closed Guantanamo Bay? Because if they had, they should reopen it just for whoever is responsible for Major Tuddy. And again, everybody knows I don't like big fuzzy mascots.
No,
Most of them don't actually scare me. This one scares me. And whoever designed this and Major Tuddy himself better hope I don't hang out with Kyrie Irving and get brain cancer like Kevin Durant clearly has. Because if I ever find out I have a fatal disease, I'm going to make it my last goal in life to kill this thing live on the field before it does something damaging to America. Because look at that thing. If we ever have another January the 6th, that's clearly the first thing through the door. That's going to be right next to the Buffalo Bills guy crashing the door and trying to burn the White House to the ground.
All right, we have to get to number 1. That's number 2 on the big board. Things already happening in what has been a very brief but obviously active 6-day period.
Number 1, again, happened on January the 1st, and this is based on a story I have done a lot of jokes about, and I always assumed they were jokes. I didn't think I was being serious about it, but I've now rethought my position because Tom Brady's making out with his kid again. And this time, it's the different kid. It's not the 15-year-old Jack from the first video. It's the 13-year-old. And a lot of people are going the other way with this one, saying it's okay for a father to be affectionate with his son. It's okay for a father to show the world he loves his son on social media. I'm sorry. If you think it's a normal for a 13-year-old to spend a day at the pool sitting in his father's lap, it's you that has the problem, not me for pointing out that that's problematic. I'm sorry. The kid is 13 years old. If you're a 13-year-old sitting on your father's lap and having him make out with the back of your neck, as we see on the right, and then you go post pictures on the social media about it, there's something wrong with both of you. Yes. There really is. There's something wrong with the dad who would do that. And there's something wrong with the kid who sits there and is like, "Oh, yeah, Dad, let me sit on your lap by the pool. I'm only 13. All my friends in high school aren't going to say anything about that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, you wanted your parents out of sight once you got to junior high.
Yeah. When I was doing jokes about him being naked on a massage table and wanted to make out with his other kid, I assumed they were jokes. Now, I'm not 100% sure they're jokes. I don't know what the hell is going on in the Brady household. But that was one of the big stories this week. Tom Brady has a new girlfriend. Yeah, we already knew that a week ago. It's his 13-year-old kid. I'm
Excellent
sorry.
stuff. Yeah.
Look at this thing with the legs. Tell me that's normal. Tell me it's normal to be sitting in your daddy's lap and having a picture of him taking your legs inside of your legs by the pool when he's 13 years old. No, I don't
Holy
care.
Kevin Spacey. I
I
mean, what's going on
realize
there?
different cultures I do realize different cultures have different levels of public affection and affection between a father and son. If this is normal affection between Irish people, I understand why the Kings of England wanted to burn Ireland to the ground. I understand why my people, the Vikings, tried to eliminate those people 1,000 years ago. If this is normal Irish affection, there's something deeply wrong with Ireland. And you may ask yourself, Defo, who would normalize this? Who would think that between a parent and a child, this is a normal level of affection? And I have an answer.
Oh, Jesus.
Because it's somebody Tom Brady knows, and it just might be a man who thinks it's normal to have his 13-year-old daughter sit in his lap in an overly sexualized position while sitting on a statue of a couple of parrots fucking each other.
Oh, God.
I'm just saying, of all the lessons of Donald Trump, both positive and negative,
Yeah.
the one Tom Brady seemed to learn is it's normal to want to bang your own children.
Perhaps a theme we would unfortunately see play out and manifest itself in reality.
And I would give
Wow.
Tom Brady credit. At least when Tom Brady has his 13-year-old son sitting shirtless in his lap, it's not on a statue of a couple of animals humping each other.
Yeah.
Maybe that's next, because this is round 2. Maybe round 3 is going to feature something along those lines.
Jesus.
But we haven't gotten quite there yet.
Not sure which is more disturbing. Good start, Professor. You're rolling, baby. You're rolling. Good luck with all of your wagering adventures over the weekend.
Everybody enjoy the national championship. Enjoy the inevitable painful end of the Dolphin season. And happy January 6th.
Predictions of Armageddon, my friend.